everybody, I'm Mel.
And I'm Matt.
And welcome back to Stranger Things.
So today we're going to be discussing a film called The Lobster. It came out in 2015. It was directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, who's a Greek film director. This is his first English language feature film. It stars Colin Farrell and Rachel Weisz, and also John C. Reilly is in it. And there's a lot of other well-known actors,
Yep.
British actors,
Irish actors.
Irish actors.
Northern Irish actors.
One fella from Belfast.
Yep. Gotta get it all Northern Ireland in there.
Yeah, and he's all like, "I'm that short-sighted, mate."
Because that's just how we all talk.
Yeah, exactly. So good representation there of Belfast. So it's quite an unusual film, this one. It could be classified as being a black comedy because it's not overtly like ha 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 laugh out loud funny all the time, but it is it might be suited to a particular taste of humour.
Yeah. It's very dark.
Indeed, which is
A lot of satire.
why I thought it was absolutely hilarious. So yeah, it's quite an absurd plot. We'll just talk about that briefly. It's basically like like a dystopian form of the present. And if people are in a relationship and say, for example, in the case of Colin Farrell's character, his wife leaves him for another man.
Mm-hmm.
So because he is now newly single, he has to go to this hotel, and it's in a real nice kind of place near the mountains and stuff.
It's so nice.
Yeah, it's so nice, but it's also very grey and dull and all, but it's beautiful in its own way. So he has to go to this place here, and where they send all the single single people, and they have to like pair off into couples, or else in like 45 days they're gonna get turned into an animal. But they get to choose the animal.
Yeah, he picks. That's why the film's
He picks
called
a lobster. So that's why
he
it's called
picks
The
the lobster. But then outside of that, the only real thing you need to know is that there's the outside faction called the Loners.
The loners, they live in the woods.
Yeah, and they're all single people that are basically, they get hunted by the people from the hotel.
Yep. So that's basically the plot.
That's the basic outline of the plot. Obviously there's a lot more to it than that, but we'll start talking some of the main.
So
We were actually just talking before, we said that there's so many sort of main themes. There's a lot of themes to look at, and there's just a lot to look at, so we're going to talk about kind of our first impressions of it and then sort of look at them kind of individually.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, basically, I just want to say that I saw this film when it came out in the Queen's Film Theatre, and it's a very small theatre. My experience of watching it for the first time, it was very interesting. I think it was quite a divisive film for the audience who were in the theatre. Some people, I think, really loved it and laughed at the bits that I found quite funny, which is nice. And also some people actually left after a particular scene, which is one of the most uncomfortable scenes that I've ever witnessed in a film, which is where the Scottish woman tries to commit suicide.
That's pretty horrible.
But she jumps off the first floor, so she's still alive, and it's really, really excruciating.
Disturbing.
And they kind of drag it out as well. And, you could get really offended by seeing something like that, but I actually sort of found it quite funny.
That part?
Yeah. I think it was because it's so, like, ridiculous, and in a way it's kind of over the top. And I think that they put it in to make a point about something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very divisive film, I think, when I saw it in the theatre. But I also think that from watching it a second time, to refresh my memory, you get a lot more insight, actually, and some new kind of revelations about maybe the meaning behind the film. So I would like to get your opinion on it.
So I watched it last night, and that was my first time watching it. So I'm coming at it with a fresh pair of eyes. But we were talking about this earlier. I don't know whether this is the best connection to make, but we've kind of briefly talked about this, so you can let me know, and you can let me know in the comments what you think. But my impression of it is it reminds me a lot of Bertolt Brecht's epic theatre, and he had a thing called, I can't say it in German, I'm not even going to attempt it, I'll leave it in the description, but it's basically translated to alienation effect, or what I think is the better translation, and I think is actually the more up-to-date one, is estrangement effect. And what Brecht would have done in theatre is he'd have got his actors and performers to present you with characters. So the sort of the idea behind it is that you don't become really emotionally attached or really drawn into the world. It's more that you're being presented with these ideas, presented with this dialogue, and everything's very clear and direct, so that you can take away more meaning from the what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I think, and the funny thing is actually that there was a quote that the director had said, which was, "We're not really interested in just representing reality in film," which to me that kind of all connects together. And two of Brecht's songs, which actually popped into my head because they're my favourite ones, was, for some reason, I don't know why, like I think it's because they deal with the ideas behind humanity and grotesque and all that kind of stuff that was going on in Berlin cabaret scene, which was The Legend of the Soldier, or The Ballad of the Dead Soldier, I think it's called, and Apfelbock, or The Lily in the Field, is one where it deals with like this child who kills his parents and tries to hide the bodies, and it's all very like
pretty dark.
Yeah, it's all really kind of discovering humanity and why we do certain things, and those two are things that popped into my head, so I don't know what you think about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can definitely see where you're drawing the parallel, because you find if you watch this film, it might be a little unusual that pretty much all the dialogue is very deadpan.
Yes, there's not very much emotion.
Yeah, there's pretty much no expression, so it's almost like it's quite robotic, the delivery of the lines.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, you know, could tie into what you're talking about, due to the fact that it sort of makes the viewer aware that this is an artificial thing.
Yeah.
They are not watching real life.
Yeah.
This is, I guess, it's art. You're meant to think about the meaning behind it and not just get caught up in what is actually taking place.
Yeah, because that's what we were saying earlier. It's like it's not something that you're just going to sit down with popcorn, as what you said, and watch. It's something that you're going to be taking a lot from. And I found watching it, even at times, I would kind of be drifting off a little bit elsewhere, because it doesn't, not that it doesn't draw you in, it does, but just because it is so flat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but then on the other hand, you have the music in the film, which is really, really intense and really expressive, and it's classical music. It's Beethoven, Stravinsky, Alfred Schnittke, Benjamin Britten. These kind of composers, all very, very intensely, just really intensely intense music, and that really is in such strong contrast to the emotionless delivery.
That's true. Yeah, so I think we've actually decided that eventually we're going to do a video on this just talking about the music alone, because there's some really interesting stuff about it, and I think that you could glean a lot more from doing a fuller in-depth look at the music and image. But one thing that I found really interesting is the main song that stands out is the Beethoven String Quartet, which is number 1 in F major, and you hear the second movement. I don't know if you ever hear the others actually, do you?
No,
I don't think so. You hear the adagio from that, which is the second movement. And what's interesting about this is that Beethoven's friend Karl Aminde said that Beethoven was inspired by the tomb scene in Romeo and Juliet. Now, that obviously the music fits well with what's going on, but I also think that brings into one of the main themes, which is this theme of us and them, the couples, the loners, the Capulets, the Montagues, and this kind of division, like there's no in between. And I think that was kind of an interesting connection. And also then the fact of what actually happens in that scene, you know, he finds Juliet dead, so therefore he has to be dead. And in the film, then we have your nose is bleeding, so my nose has to bleed, you know?
Yeah.
So very, very similar themes.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's pretty deep.
Deep man.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was quite good. And also, I guess that the two main characters, we were saying how they don't actually really seem to fall in love. They just kind of pair up on like such a trivial kind of thing that they have in common, which is they're both short-sighted. And other than that, their whole nature of their relationship is completely physical.
I mean, the message of that in itself, they're short-sighted. And you get that a lot in the movie, is like people, it's it's all superficial. There's no real connection between people. There's no proper deep conversation. It's all, I like your hair. Oh, your nose bleeds. Well, mine does too. Oh, you're short-sighted, so I am too. It's all so surface, and there's no depth really.
Yeah, and like the bit where there's a scene where they Colin Farrell's character goes on a yacht, and he sees the man with the limp,
Yeah.
who is matched up with the nosebleed woman,
Uh-huh.
and they're sitting having dinner with their kid, and the guy with the limp, all he's talking about is, do you know how much a basketball weighs and stuff? And then he's like, oh, do you know how much a volleyball weighs? And then his wife's like, I don't, but I would like to learn.
It's
You know,
bizarre.
and it's they're just talking about the most like trivial things.
There are a couple of themes. Obviously, the main one is that what the director was trying to get across, and he definitely did, because I found that quote online. Is he's talking about the like absurd rules that people follow whenever they're in relationships, and he'd said like if you distance yourself from it, you can realize how absurd some of the things that we consider normal are. And there's things that definitely popped out that I thought, like the idea of there's a scene where they go into the town, and if you're caught, the police would check you to make sure that you have a marriage certificate, and it just reminds me of like how society is now, in that like even if you're a couple and you're in a relationship, you've been together for 4 years, well, you're not as good as the married couple, or why haven't you got married yet? Or, you know, there's this idea of like snobbery in that, oh well, we're married so we're a little bit better, and like I feel like that's possibly one of the things that he was trying to get across. Did you think that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that maybe the message that I took away was that you know, people shouldn't be afraid to be alone,
Yeah.
because knowing yourself is more important than
Oh, look at that, man.
being with someone on like quite a superficial kind of basis.
That was beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that one.
But that, I think that is generally part of his message. It's just how we see things is so weird.
Yeah, exactly. And there's this kind of like societal pressure on people to conform and be a couple and stuff. And it's like, oh, it's the end of the world if you're gonna be alone. And then also in the film, you've got the loners, and they're like the outcasts. Literally,
Yeah.
they are the outcasts from society. And
But the interesting thing though is that neither camp has a good outcome. So if you're in the couples, you're gonna get turned into an animal if you don't find someone. If you're in a couple, well, obviously there's no real meaning or depth to your relationship. If you're the loner, then so much as you flirt with someone, you're gonna get your lips cut off, or worse.
or worse.
Or worse.
let's just
So there's
briefly
no-
say about what is called in the film the red intercourse. So if you watch the film, you'll find out.
Well, if you imagine that if kissing someone gets your lips cut off, we can picture what that is. But yeah, that's what I find interesting, is there's no escape for them. There's no way, like what way is the right way according to the film or the director.
Exactly, and we also see that Colin Farrell and Rachel Weisz, their characters, they're shunned by the loners for becoming a couple. Yeah, I can't really talk about this without spoiling anything.
Yeah, we're trying not to spoil at all.
So I guess we should just wrap it up.
But I think the movie, what's interesting is it leaves you with your own interpretation.
Exactly, yeah.
Or more a sense of estrangement, a sense of you don't really know what's happened.
Yeah.
It leaves you to reflect on what you've just seen, which is what I think is really, really good. So,
in a way, it reminds me of, well, it gave me the same feeling that I had after I saw The Neon Demon, because
Okay.
it just ends, and it just left me feeling, what the hell did I just watch?
or Vertigo.
Yeah.
Remember when we watched Vertigo, and like we watched that in Queen's Film Theatre, and it was just silence after that, and then all of a sudden you hear the rumble of everyone being like, what just happened?
What?
Yeah,
exactly.
it just leaves you with a very uncomfortable. It's almost like when you wake up after a nightmare. It's like
Yeah.
that kind of
That's a good comparison.
uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah. I think that might be because it might have something to do with the subconscious, and it's almost like a realization that these kind of really weird feelings or something could exist within yourself,
Yeah.
but you people tend to stay very far away from that.
Yeah.
And this is almost like being presented with something that
Yeah.
is part of you, but you don't want to acknowledge it. So
I think that's
I
a good point to end on. So hopefully this will give you some things to think about. As always, like leave your comments, opinions, suggestions. I'd be interested to hear if someone else have watched this, what they took from it, because I feel like you can take so much. We didn't even really actually get to talk about the themes of depression and that numbness and dryness throughout the whole thing. So yeah, if you have any opinions on that, let us know.
yeah, it's been a deep one.
It has been a deep one.
So we'll sign off.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next upload. Bye.